to my channel. Today we are going to learn how to make this beautiful crochet top. It's more like a tank top, but it's in granny square form. So I have worked so many projects in the granny square stitch, and if you would like the dress version of this design, I already have a tutorial for it, as well as so many other projects that you can try out using this stitch. I'll be leaving some of them on the screen, and all the details of the different projects in the description box below, so you can make sure you go and check out these videos so that you can make some more interesting projects using the granny square stitch. Or if you would like the written pattern, it's already available on all my online shops. So let's get into the video. For this project you will need yarn. For the yarn, I'm choosing these colors. There's a light blue, there's a white, and then there is this darker blue. It's still sky blue but darker than this. So there are two different shades of blue and a white. So the hook that I'll be using for this project is a 3.75mm crochet hook, and then a pair of scissors and a measuring tape, and of course a darning needle to weave in your ends. So let's get started. We're going to start off with the very first granny square, and then we shall build onto it later on. So the first thing that you're going to take a measurement of is your full bust measurement. I'll be leaving a photo for you on the screen so that you know exactly what to do. So take your full bust measurement around the widest part of your bust and divide that measurement by 4. So note that figure down. For example, if your full bust measurement is 32 inches and then divide that by 4, you will get 8 inches. You're going to note that figure down. So let's get started. We're going to start off with our very first color, and we're going to make a normal granny square. If you don't know how to work a granny square, I have a more detailed video on how to do this if you're a beginner. So we're going to start off with a magic ring like this, and then you're going to make a chain of 3, which will count as our very first double crochet. Then place 2 more double crochets into the magic ring, and that will give us a total of 3 double crochets if we count the chain 3 as a stitch. So after this, you're going to make a chain of 2, go into the magic ring with 3 double crochets, like that, and then chain 2, 3 double crochets into the magic ring, and then chain 2 and 3 more double crochets into the same magic ring. So at the end of the last group of 3 double crochets, you should be having 4 groups of 3 double crochets. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you're going to pull this tail to close off the magic ring, and then make a chain of 2 and go on top of the very first chain 3, the topmost chain, and place a slip stitch into that space, into that chain, the topmost chain. And this marks the end of row 1 or round 1. You're going to chain 1 and cut your yarn. So this marks the end of round 1, and the chain 2 spaces create the corners of the square. As you can see, we already have a glimpse of the square coming together. So let's go on to round 2. So round 2, I'm going to use this lighter blue shade. You're going to make a slip knot and attach your yarn into the chain 2 space right before the tail of the previous round. So you're going to attach your yarn like that, and then make a chain of 3, which counts as a double crochet. Go into the same exact chain 2 space with a total of 2 more double crochets. So that will bring us to 3 double crochets, since the chain 3 counts as a stitch. Let's go on to the next part. You're going to chain 1, go into the next chain 2 space with a total of 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets into the same exact chain 2 space. All right, this is what you'll have. And then you're going to make a chain of 1, go into the chain 2 space with 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets. So for this tutorial, this will be referred to as a shell. A shell is 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets. Then you're going to chain 1, place a shell into the next chain 2 space, which is 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets into the same exact chain 2 space. And then another thing that you have to note is for each chain 2 space, we place a shell. That means this was a chain 2 space and we only placed 3 double crochets. That means this corner is not yet complete. So you're going to chain 1 and go into the very first chain 2 space where we place these 3 double crochets. And you're going to place 3 double crochets in there. 1, 2, and 3, like that. And then you're going to make a chain of 2 and slip stitch into the top chain of the first chain 3 of the round. So just slip stitch there, and then you're going to chain 1 and cut your yarn. Pull through. This marks the end of round 2. So we're going on to round 3, and you can see the square shape taking place. We're going on to round 3, and for this color, I decided to use 2 strands of this color because the yarn is quite thin and I really wanted the shade to feature into this project. So I'll be using 2 strands for this color. So I'm making a slip knot and attaching my yarn in the chain 2 space right below, before the tail that we left behind for the previous row. So you're going to attach your yarn like this, and then you're going to make a chain of 3, place 2 more double crochets into the chain 2 space. And as I told you before, each chain 2 space gets a shell. So since we've placed only 3 double crochets here, that means this space is not yet finished. So we shall work on it later on when we come back around. So after this, you're going to chain 1, go into the next chain 1 space with 3 double crochets. So another thing to note, each chain 1 space gets 3 double crochets. And then you're going to make a chain of 1, place a shell into the next chain 2 space, because each chain 2 space gets a shell. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets. After this, you're going to chain 1. This is a chain 1 space, and each chain 1 space gets only 3 double crochets. Chain 1. This is a chain 2 space, so it gets a shell. And after this, you're going to chain 1. This is a chain 1 space, so we are placing only 3 double crochets. Chain 1, a shell into the chain 2 space. So you will notice that the chain 2 spaces are only found at the corners of the square. And that's where we place the shell to maintain the corners of our square. So after this, you're going to chain 1 and then 3 double crochets into the next chain 1 space, chain 1, and into this very last chain 2 space. Remember, we only placed 3 double crochets, so we shall go into it with 3 more double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. And when you're done with that, you're going to make a chain of 2 and slip stitch into the topmost chain of the first chain 3 of the round. So in there, you're going to insert your hook and then pull through all. Sorry, this is kind of giving me a hard time because the yarn splits. But yeah, you're going to just place a slip stitch in there, just like this. And then you're going to chain 1 and cut your yarn. So this marks the end of round 3. We're going to just keep repeating this round. Don't forget, every chain 1 space gets only 3 double crochets. The chain 2 spaces are only located on the corners of the square, and each chain 2 space or each corner gets a shell. So we're going to repeat round 3 until this measurement right here. Just place your granny square in a diagonal form or a diamond shape, and you're going to make sure that you work until this measurement is quarter of your bust measurement. Remember the measurement that we got at the beginning of the video. For example, if your bust measurement was 32 and we divided it by 4 and then we got 8, you're going to keep working until this measurement is 8 inches. And as you can see here, we are not yet there, but you're going to have to make sure that your granny square is stretched in order to get that measurement so that we get a good fitting for our top. So let's go ahead and work our rounds. You can see this one is already worked, and I'm going to move this granny square onto this level, and then I come back and show you what to do. Alright guys, here we are with our very first square, and as you can see, this measures 8 inches, which is quarter of our bust measurement. If you want a tighter fitting, make sure you get this measurement well stretched. But the fact that we are going to pull up, I decided to go for one that's not stretched. So I have exactly 8 inches across my granny square. And when I measure one side, it's about 6 inches, but this is the measurement that we are considering for this project. So you're going to go ahead and make your second granny square less by 1 row. So just go ahead and repeat the same exact process for this one until you have less by 1 row. As you can see, the second last row is this color, and we are only left with attaching the very final round, which is white. So once you get this, you're going to get your final row, your final color, which is white for my case, because I used white for the boundary of the very first granny square. So you're going to attach your white just like we've been doing in the chain 2 space right before the tail that we left behind for our previous row. You're going to make a chain of 3, and we're just going to repeat the same exact process. Chain 3, 2 more double crochets into the chain 2 space, chain 1, and then you're going to place 3 double crochets in each chain 1 space, and make sure you always chain 1 after the 3 double crochets, just like we've been doing for the previous rounds. Sorry, there's some construction work going on behind my office, so I hope my audio is clear enough for you guys to hear what I'm saying. Alright, so we are coming to the very first corner, and we're going to attach this corner onto one of the corners of the very first granny square. So chain 1, 3 double crochets into the chain 2 space, but this time we're not finishing up the shell. We're going to chain 1, grab one corner of the first granny square into the chain 2 space and insert your hook like this, pull through this loop and then chain the second, and then go into the same exact space with your 3 double crochets. That way we have placed a shell while joining onto the very first granny square. So this is what you'll have, and we are going to just go ahead and complete this round as usual. I'll just do this on camera so that you guys can see exactly what's happening. So we're coming to the end of the round, and I'm placing my very last 3 double crochets into the last chain 2 space of the round, like that. And then you're going to make a chain of 2 and slip stitch into the first chain 3 on top of it, and chain 1, and you can cut your yarn. All right, this is what you'll have: 2 identical pieces. And now, as you can see, they are the same size if I place them against each other. This is what you'll have. Now you're going to place them. Of course, we have loose ends going around at the back, but we shall deal with that later on. Now we're going to work on these pieces that are supposed to be placed in the middle here. So what we're going to do is grab our very first color. You're going to grab your first color. You're going to follow the same exact color combination. So from the first color that you started with, you're going to make a slip knot, and you're going to make a chain of 5. And then you're going to go into the very first chain with 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to make a chain of 1 and go into the same exact chain with 1 double crochet. So you can see we're taking a triangular shape right now. Now after this, you're going to make a chain of 1, cut your yarn, Grab your next color. Mine will be this blue, the lighter shade of blue. Make a slip knot and attach into that stitch, the very first stitch where we have the tail from the previous row. After attaching, you're going to make a chain of 4, which counts as a double crochet chain 1. Now into this very first chain 1 space, you're going to place 3 double crochets like that, and then you're going to make a chain of 1, go into the chain 2 space with a shell, so 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets. After this, you're going to make a chain of 1, go into the last chain 4 space, which is this one. You're going to place 3 double crochets, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet into the same exact space. And then you're going to make a chain of 1, cut your yarn, pull through, get your next color. Mine is this blue. So we're just going to repeat this again and again until we have 1 color less, just like we did our second granny square, that we stopped on this color and then came back to join the final color onto the granny square that was already there. So I'm going to keep working this row. I'm going to show you one more time for this color until I get to this color, the second last color, and then I'll work the final color with you as well. So let's see, just one more try for clarity. For those who may not have gotten it right, you're going to attach your yarn into the stitch, the last stitch of the previous row, make a chain of 3 and 1 more chain, which is a chain of 4, and then go into the very first chain 1 space with 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1 into the chain 1 space. Remember, each chain 1 space gets 3 double crochets, so the pattern doesn't really change from what we already have for the granny squares. So after this, you're going to make a chain of 1. Into the chain 2 space, we place a shell, just like we did for the granny squares. So 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets. After this, you're going to make a chain of 1. This is a chain 1 space, so it will get 3 double crochets. And then you're going to make a chain of 1. Into the last chain 4 space, you're going to place 3 double crochets, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet into the same exact space. And this will balance what we have at the beginning of the row. So after this, you're going to make a chain of 1 and cut your yarn. So just keep repeating this row until your triangle grows, until the second last row or the second last color of your triangle, because we need this to still be the same size as this. The only difference is it's not a square. This time we are working with a triangle that's supposed to fit into this space, and as you can see, it's still very small. We still have to grow it until it can perfectly fit into this space, this open space. So keep working that row, and I'll meet you back on this color, my second last color. Alright guys, so we're at that point when we just need 1 more row in order to get the very final row of the triangle. So you're going to grab your final color, make a slip knot, and attach it where we left off with the blue into that stitch, and place your work just like in the video right now. Just place your work on the right side like that, And now we're going to make a chain of 3. 1, 2, 3, and then remove your hook, go into the very first corner here. I hope you can see everything clearly, and then pull through this loop and make your other chain that was supposed to make a chain of 4. So the 4th chain is chained after attaching onto this granny square. After this, you're going to go into the chain 1 space here and place your 3 double crochets. So we are just working the same exact row. The only difference is this time we are working it while attaching onto the next piece. So after your 3 double crochets, you're going to chain 1, remove your hook, go into the next chain 1 space, pull through that loop, and go into the next chain 1 space on this side and place your 3 double crochets like that. Chain 1, remove, insert into the next space, pull through the loop, and 3 double crochets into the next chain 1 space. So what that is doing is attaching the 2 pieces together along the sides. Just keep repeating this. Just watch what I'm doing and do the same exact thing. After your 3 double crochets, you're going to chain 1, remove your hook, insert your hook into the next chain 1 space on the opposite side, pull through, and then 3 double crochets into the next. Okay. So we are almost getting to the corner. And as you can see, we've reached the corner of the triangle. You're going to chain 1, remove, attach, and then into the corner you're going to place 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. So you can see this side is now attached, but this side is not yet attached. So after this, you're going to make a chain of 1 instead of 2. Chain 1, remove your hook, and go into the exact middle of these 2 granny squares. Just get that loop that joins the 2 granny squares together. So I'll just insert my hook here into that loop that joins the 2 granny squares together, and then pull through this loop, and then make my second chain like that, and then go into the chain 2 space with 3 more double crochets, because this is a corner, so we don't have to change the pattern for any reason. And this is what we have created. You can see the boundary color is white, and it's the color that appears most on this project. So we have 2 layers of white when it comes to the joining of the squares and the triangles. So after this, we are going to just mirror the same exact thing on this side. Chain 1, remove your hook, insert your hook into the next chain 1 space, pull through, 3 double crochets into the next chain 1 space. So the only difference here is we are attaching our yarn on the opposite side, but everything else on this side remains the same. It's a chain 1 and 3 double crochets into the next chain 1 space. So we're almost coming to the end, and I'm attaching into the very last chain 1 space on this side, actually the second last chain 1 space, and then going into the last chain 4 space on this side with a total of 3 double crochets. And remember, we end our row of the triangle with 3 double crochets, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet. So that means here we are not yet finished. So you're going to chain 1, remove your hook, insert into the corner of this granny square, attach, and then place 1 more double crochet into the triangle, the corner of the triangle. And then from here you're going to chain 1 and cut your yarn, pull through. So that's how we have joined our triangle. You're going to go ahead and make 2 more triangles. One is going to be placed here and the second one is going to be placed here. So 2 more triangles at the level of the second last color, just like we did for this one. And then the final color will be attached along this side of the top. So let's start with the very first one. So the first one, you're going to attach your yarn into the very last stitch of the previous row, and then make a chain of 3. We shall first attach here. So make a chain of 3 and attach where the 2 granny squares meet into that corner. So get the middle stitch, attach, chain 1 more to make a total of 4 chains. And then into the very first chain 1 space here, you're going to place 3 double crochets. And then from here, everything else is the same as how we were attaching the triangle onto the squares. So chain 1, attach 3 double crochets into the next chain 1 space. Always don't forget to chain 1 before you attach, so that we don't have a very big strain on the stitches. So we're coming to the corner and we've placed 3 double crochets into the corner. You're going to chain 1, attach into this corner, chain 1 more, and 3 double crochets into the same chain 2 space. So that will create the corner of the triangle. And this is what we have, guys. Look at this. So we're going to just go all the way down, completing our triangle as usual. Chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets into the next chain 1 space, and then into the very last chain 4 space, you're going to place 3 double crochets, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet, because that's how we work the rows of the triangle. After this, you're going to chain 1 and cut your yarn, pull through. This is what you'll have. Now let's go ahead and work our very final triangle, attaching it to this side. So this one is finished. Let me just fold over like this. And now we're going to work on this side as well. So the only difference here is we're going to first work the plain side, and then we shall come back to the very last side while attaching. So I'm going to do that real quick, and by now you know exactly how to work the rows of the triangle. So let me do that real quick. Okay guys, we've reached the corner here, and at the corner we're going to start attaching this side onto our top. I'm going to chain one, attach. Let me just do this. Chain one more, 3 double crochets into the same chain 2 space, and then from here you're just going to continue to attach all the way along the side of the triangle and the side of the square. Just like we've been doing for our previous panels. So we are placing our last 3 double crochets into the last chain 4 space, and then you're going to chain 1, attach where the 2 granny squares meet into that space, and then make 1 more double crochet into the chain 4 space. After this, you're going to chain 1 and cut your yarn. So this is what you'll have, guys. We have a total of 3 triangles that have been attached onto 2 squares, and this is how your top will look like. When you fold it over like this, you'll have something that looks like this, more like a normal top, a normal crop top. So I'm going to go ahead and weave in all my tails. If I need to tie, if I need to weave in, I'm going to just get rid of all these strands that are lying around, and then I come back and show you what to do next. If you have any strings that are meeting at the same point, the reason why I was telling you to attach your yarn where you left off the previous color, so that for these people who don't like using the darning needle, you can just tie a knot and then cut your yarn like that. But make sure you're tying from the wrong side of the work, so that the knot is always on the wrong side of the work, like that. So just go ahead and get rid of the loose strands as much as you can, and I'll meet you back to finalize our crop top. Okay guys, so I've gotten rid of all the loose ends that had 2 strands around the same spot. The only ones that I'm left with are these ones that don't have another one next to them. So I'll weave these in later on when I'm finalizing with my project. And now it's time for us to work on the edging of our top. You're going to decide what color you want for the edging. For me, I'll use the darker color, which is the blue. So what we are going to do is we're going to come from this side, to move from this side all the way to this side, and then until the corner. And then from here, we shall start on the edging of the bottom of the top. So you're going to make a slip knot, and we are going to attach our yarn into the chain 1 space at the beginning of the very first triangle at the bottom corner. As you can see here, you're going to chain 1, and you're going to place 1 single crochet into that chain 1 space, and then 1 single crochet into each and every double crochet. And when you get to the chain 1 space, you're going to just place 1 single crochet there. So just repeat this all the way up. 1 single crochet into each stitch, and 1 single crochet into each chain 1 space. And this is what the edge is going to create. So when you come to this spot where the two granny squares meet, remember we have a chain one space on this side and a chain one space on this side. So you're going to just go into each of them with one single crochet and continue with the flow of the pattern until you get to the corner. So we've reached the topmost corner of the very first side of our top, and we shall place a total of 3 single crochets into the chain 2 space like that, and then we're going to start working downwards. And you can choose to weave in this tail as you work the edging, which I'm going to do. Okay, so we're almost getting to the exact middle of the top, and once you get here, this is what you'll have. Now we're going onto this side, and after placing a single crochet into the very last double crochet on this side, you're just going to cross over and place a single crochet into the first double crochet on the opposite side like that, so that we don't create a bulge in the middle here. So go all the way up and don't forget to place 3 single crochets into the topmost chain 2 space, just like we did at this point. And from there you're just going to repeat everything else that we've done on this side to the opposite side. Alright, so we're coming to the end of our very last triangle, and I'm placing single crochets until I place a single crochet into the very last stitch here like that. Now this is what you'll have for your project. I hope you're seeing everything coming together, and I think you're satisfied with the results. And if you're getting value from this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more amazing tutorials. So now we're going to go onto the bottom of our top, and we're going to start creating the edging. So you're going to make a chain of 3. The edging is going to be worked with the same exact color. So chain of 3, and into each row you're going to place 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet like that, and then go into the next. After this you're going to chain 1 and then go into the next row with 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet. So it's like we're placing a V-stitch into each and every row and separating each V-stitch with a chain 1 space. So chain 1, V-stitch into the next row, and a V-stitch is 1 double crochet, chain 1, 1 double crochet, and repeat that all the way across. All right, now we're coming to the end of our row, our very first row of the base edging. Chain 1, 1 V-stitch into the very final row. After that, you're going to go into the very final row of the single crochet and place a double crochet there. That's it for this row. Now we're going onto our very final row that's supposed to create the ruffles at the base of the top. So you're going to make a chain of 3 and turn your work. Now we're just going to place a V-stitch into each and every chain 1 space. So 1 V-stitch into each and every chain 1 space. So remember, a V-stitch is 1 double crochet, chain 1 and 1 double crochet. So we are going into the chain 1 spaces in between the V-stitches as well. So you can see how this is already creating the ruffles. If you want the ruffles to be more dramatic, you can choose to make a double V-stitch. For example, you can place, actually I think this is not going to make the ruffles pronounced, and instead of doing this, I'm going to switch it up a bit. I'm going to place a double V-stitch in every chain 1 space. So in every chain 1 space, I'm going to place a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet, like that. And then I go into the next chain 1 space and do the same. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, and 1 more double crochet. That is going to make the ruffles a bit more pronounced. But do whatever suits you, whatever look that you're going for. If you feel like the other one is better, just go for that. But I want the ruffles to be a little bit more visible than how they were before. So let's have a look at what we have. I think I'm more satisfied with this look. It looks more like the inspiration. So go all the way across, creating your ruffles. Alright guys, so we've come to the end of our row, and as you can see, I've placed a double V-stitch into the very last chain 1 space of the last V-stitch of the previous row. So after this, I'm going to just go on top of the chain 3 at the beginning and place a double crochet there. From here, I'm going to chain 1 and cut my yarn, pull through. Now, when we turn our work onto the right side, look what we have, guys. We have the ruffles. I know the final row of this project has been worked on the wrong side, but it has created a very good effect on the ruffles of our top. So you're going to fold your work like this. This excess part, the edge triangle, onto the back side like this. And we're going to create our straps. So I don't know what straps you usually do, but for me, I am going to do something that's quite thick. So attach your yarn on this side, and then you're going to make a chain of 3, go into the same space. So I've attached my yarn into the middle single crochet of the 3 single crochets that were placed here. So we shall create a space here, then chain 3, 1 double crochet into that space below. So just go into that space, chain 3, we have a space below. So every time you create a double crochet, we create a space between the double crochet and the chain 3, and that's the space you go into when creating the length of your strap. Chain 3, double crochet in the space below. So this is going to help us create a very strong strap for our top, and I'm going to continue doing this until I have about 30 segments of this strap. By segments, I mean those spaces 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a total of 30, so that they are long enough to also go to the back and then lace up at the back of the top and then tie around the bottom of the bust. So let me just go ahead and get my 30 segments ready. Okay guys, I ended up doing a total of 50 segments for each and every strap, just because 30 was too short and it wasn't going to give me a comfortable tie at the back. So what you're going to do right now is get rid of all the loose strands that you have on your project. Remember the ones that we left behind? Make sure you go and get rid of all the loose strands of your top, and then I'll show you how to lace up the top finally. Alright, so this is the wrong side of my work, and you can't even tell that the loose ends have been so many on this side. And once I fold it over like this, make sure this is the wrong side of your work. You're going to fold it over like this and then grab your straps. So you're going to get the one on this side, fold it over like this so that it can come to the opposite side. And then I have one more strand here. Let me just get rid of it real quick. All right, so this is what we have, and you're going to get the strand on this side, cross it over to this side, and you're going to count a total of 1, 2, 3, and 4 spaces, or the 5th space here, and you're going to put your strap through like that, and do the same on this side. Get this strand and then count 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and into the 5th you're going to pass your strap through. We are trying to create a very comfortable fitting for our top, So you'll first create a cross at the back here. This is the back side of our top. And then you're going to cross over this one on this side into this very last hole. The chain one space on the white, like that. And then do the same exact thing on this side. Like that. So this is what you'll have at the back of your top. And then from here, you can make a knot. So this will be the back side of your top. And when you turn it to the right side, you'll have something that looks like this. Of course, if you want a tighter fitting, you can pull the straps so that it can be tighter than this. I don't know what fitting that you're going for, but you can as well adjust at the back and get either a tighter fitting or a loose fitting. So that's it for this tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed this project. Make sure I give it a thumbs up if you did, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!